evening, race fans, and welcome to Friday night. It's the Relentless Racing Series coming at you. Green flag is out. The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And good evening, race fans. Welcome to Turn 3 Racing Network. Tonight, we're coming at you live with the Relentless Racing Series, their Xfinity cars, right here from Atlanta. Tonight, you have with you Chris, that's me, and Rick over there. Rick, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing fabulous, brother. Happy Friday. I'm excited to be here at Atlanta, baby.
Oh, I'm telling you what, yeah, it's been a long week, Rick, and this
Been a long,
is
short week.
Yeah, it's been a very long, short week. You're absolutely right, and this is exactly the way I needed to close it out right here at Atlanta. And guys, we have some very interesting stuff going on tonight because, as you can see, we've got some new cars out there. We're focused in on the Toyota Supra, the new Xfinity Toyota Supra, looking out there, man. That is a good-looking car. It took me a little bit to warm up to it, and I'll tell you what, Matt Gruenberg did a fine job finding a good paint on that thing. Looks great out there, and he is getting it done so far here in practice. He has laid down a lap that, well, up until very recently, nobody was close to. Matt Gruenberg has himself a 32.91 around Atlanta. James Miller, he's behind him with a 33.28. Actually, him and Eric Latta tied. Guys, I've been watching these guys now for about an hour and a half, and I'm going to tell you something about these cars. They are a loose here in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't call it Atlanta for no reason, Chris. I mean, it is very, very slick out there on the racetrack there. We're going to be doing 120 laps here tonight. That's going to equal out to 184.80 miles. That track temperature, man, 108 degrees. So these cars, I mean, they do look nice. And I'm actually inside the number 54, Matt Gruenberg. I don't know if we got into a cockpit view yet, Chris. But let me tell you, from when I first started racing on iRacing, I used to hate the gauges in the dang cars. And this Toyota, man, I mean, just check out the gauges in that thing. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, Rick, you know what? It's pretty nice looking. Really cloudy day here in Atlanta. I don't know why the track decided she wants to be so hot, but hot Atlanta it is tonight. 108 degrees, as Rick said. And guys, we had a heck of a way to start the season last week right here from Daytona. We're going to go over that in just one moment. As, well, no other way to say it, kind of a surprise winner out of that one after having some time off last season. So let's take a look at the points. It was Austin Derbyshire. Derbyshire ended up squeaking out the win there kind of towards the end, and he did it in really good fashion. Rick, he was up front for most of the night, top five certainly. Only a couple of times did he sneak out of the top five, but managed to find himself right back in there. I've been watching him during practice a little bit here tonight, and I don't know if he has not found it yet or just needs to get a little bit more comfortable, but that car not treating him as nicely as he would like, although I do have to say I love the paint job.
Yeah, the paint job really looks good out there. I mean, Austin does awesome work anyway, Chris, and it's pretty cool to see.
As we just saw in the background of the point standings, Gruenberg getting himself a little bit loose, but right now, so let's go through those points. Austin Derbyshire is your points leader. Gruenberg in second. Gruenberg didn't finish in second last week, but he did win a stage. That helps him into second spot. James Miller ends up in third in the point standings. Jake McDonald in fourth. Ruben Zepeda fifth. Jeffrey Fisher in sixth. Sam Garcia in seventh with a tie, actually, with Jeffrey Cox. Eric Lyda in ninth position. Timothy Madonna sitting in 10th. On the other side, it's going to be Scott Mertz in 11th place. Jeff Price 12th. Gavin Jones, Tony Edmondson, Austin Johnson, Derek Garrison, Adrian Pedra, Troy Leonard, Joshua Kane, and Andrew Beach rounding out the top 20 in points. And Rick, there's actually a tie for 20th too, but we can only fit so many people in there.
Yeah, I mean, opening race, I mean, okay, we're starting the season. It's a long season, Chris. I mean, every point matters. And we're already starting to see ties, and these guys are going to be pretty close. And, you know, they're just going to continue it on here at Atlanta. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, you know, 4 or 5 weeks from now as we get into the season, how that's going to change. But these guys really, they're out there. They're strong. They're looking to do what they have to do and get in every bonus point that they possibly can at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, just a little bit over 6 minutes to go here in practice. Qualifying will be coming up. When we get to qualifying, of course, we'll try and watch out for a couple of the cars getting around this 1.5 mile track. She is slippery tonight, Rick. I've watched it a few times. Cars, these new cars, it's very interesting to watch them. They kind of, it's like they sit on top of the track a little bit more, so they are more prone to get a little bit loose. And like I said, Matt Gruenberg seems to have had it figured out. Of course, just as I say that, a little bit of a problem there for Gruenberg. Eric Lyda out there in third spot so far here in practice. And, well, see, he's going around too. Again, with this new car, they've got a slightly different way to drive them. So these guys have to figure it out. And they've had virtually no practice at all, Rick. They did run a practice session earlier. I did turn that on the stream just to check a couple of things here that I have to do with the service running. But I was noticing the same thing we're seeing here. These guys are very, very loose, and hopefully they can figure it out. Pack racing certainly could become a big problem if they don't, as we watch the 09 Fisher, the 06 of Fisher gets into the wall, and we can see the very first opportunity right there to see some of that damage. As look at the damage model. Oh my goodness, the whole front end. That is really cool.
Well, you know, that's one big thing, Chris. I mean, you're talking about how these cars, they race different. So everybody, we are using the new Xfinity cars out here. There was a Chevy Camaro, a Ford Mustang, and a Toyota Supra. They look beautiful. Now, Chris mentioned the damage model, which you just saw there, the 06 come in, everything flies off. Now, there's a lot of things different. Not only is the damage model a lot different, I've been watching a couple videos since the build has dropped, Chris, on a lot of different cars. So when these things get damaged, they're going to come in and you may get a wrinkled hood put back on. I mean, it is what it is what it is. So it's going to be really interesting. Another thing these guys have to worry about, tires. The tire dynamic has changed once again. Trading paints. I actually just tried to redo mine too, because I'm sure there's a couple cars out there. So I'm trying to test to see what's going on, but that is something that we're working with, just so you know. But back to what I was talking about. The cool thing, Chris, now these guys have to worry about. Now, the model doesn't look as cool when it happens, but blowing tires are now a thing. There's also another thing. When you see drivers, like when you're watching real NASCAR, you see those guys, they're scrubbing their tires, they're cleaning them up, getting all the marbles, what they call it, off, all the little pieces of rubber and everything they might pick up on the track. They're also warming those tires. That actually really does come into play now. You can overdo it and you can underdo it. So it's going to really change in how these guys actually drive, and it's going to be interesting to see the first couple of weeks on how things go on. So it's going to be very interesting. The damage model, the tire models, everything has changed for these guys. So, you know, they had a good race last week in Daytona. Here they are at Atlanta. Whole brand new car. And all the dynamics and the physics are all different. So this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, Fish, we're trying, bud. Sometimes on a new build, and this is one of the reasons why I hate new builds, is it sometimes takes a little while for all of the other programs out there that are used as part of this service to catch up.
Now, one of the big things for drivers,
we're
just so you know, when you watch this over again, always make sure you go out there and you run a few laps, especially during practice stuff, so that way it actually helps Chris and I actually get trading paints to load those paints. I am still having an issue, Chris. I actually might back out here really quick just to see what I can do. I have deleted my paint folder like I do every time that we go live. But yeah, there's a couple cars that I noticed are different on the broadcast compared to what I'm looking at. So,
Well, we've got about 2 minutes to figure it out. And then it's going to become, you know what? It's going to become a little bit of a run what you run. But at least we are able to see these new cars getting ready to go.
you know, like Chris, like you said too, I mean, maybe trading paints isn't quite up to snuff with everything. I mean, there's a lot of new paints. Everything has to get reorganized into that system. So, you know, bear with us, guys. It might not be right this week. We're going to do the best that we possibly can. And I know it's harder for Chris because he goes live on his side of things. I'm able to actually bounce out a little quicker and get back in. But we love your paint jobs. You guys do a good job on them. We definitely want to show them. This week might have some issues. Next week, we'll be ready. But man, Chris, if you have a chance to go through the cockpits of the 3 different manufacturers that we're racing out here tonight, it is amazing. I mean, you've been on the service almost as long as I have, about maybe a year less. I think you're in your 4th year now. I have, well, technically 6, but they didn't count it when I first started. Then I let my stuff lapse, and I picked it back up again. But it's really neat and see what iRacing does. I mean, you know, people complain about having to buy a new model and all this stuff. Well, they got to understand. You know, I mean, I got $15 credit for the 3 cars that I've already owned. I used to do a lot of painting, so obviously I had to have everything. So I did get my $15 out of it. I picked up the new cars, and man, what a difference. I mean, you look in that cockpit and it's just beautiful.
Rick, we're going to step away for the first half of qualifying so that we can try and fix up just a couple of things, among which are trading paints, as I believe that file is done downloading. So I'm going to step away for just a moment. I got a couple other things to get working on, and we'll be right back for qualifying.
And I'll try to give live updates in chat also.
There we go.
To the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Ray Alfala into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing.
Lead to the inside goes Logan Clapton is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save.
Look to the outside as Trunkett goes off. De Jong into 2nd place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though. Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that 2nd spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the Paravolca. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the Paravolca. That's beautifully done. Schubert. There's a little bit of door banging as well.
Well, Rick, the best I can do, it looks like, is some of the cars' paints are working. Some of them aren't. Looks like we did pick up a couple. I can see now that Fisher has grandstand video on the side of his car. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll get them after all. Slow but sure.
I think they'll slowly start loading in, Chris, as things go on. These guys put a couple laps on right now. The one person who has put down a really good lap, that's the number 50, Samuel Garcia, with a 30.426. Down below him, it's going to be the 25 of Douglas Hess. He threw down a 30.576. The 75 has gone out and made his lap. That's Scott Mertz. He put down a lap of 30.642. Thomas Wagner in the 43 put down a 30.753. And the 23, that's Tony Edmondson, qualified with a 30.993. And those are the only drivers that have actually gone out and hit the track so far, Chris.
Yeah, well, we've got a few out there right now. We've got Nate Stewart, Chris Cervera, and Jeffrey Fisher out there in the 06. So we've got a few more out there trying to qualify. Looks like Jeffrey Cox is sitting on the end of pit road. Matt Grunberg stepping out. That Dex car looking pretty good. That's clean paint right there. Matt Grunberg, we already kind of took a peek at his car, and the 54 getting set to qualify. We'll see where Matt Grunberg, or sometimes called the king of the stage, Grunberg, out there doing everything that he can to try and put himself kind of where he was in practice, Rick. And honestly, where he was in practice is he was the fastest guy out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. Well, Nate Stewart, he just came in with a blistering lap of 30.426. So that's actually tied with second place there in the number 50. As we talked earlier, the number 50, Samuel Garcia, with a 30.426. So these guys running very close lap times, Chris. It's going to be real interesting here tonight.
Joshua Kane, Jake McDonald joining the track. We'll take a look at what the 15 has, Jake McDonald. He's got himself a Ford Mustang Rick. That leads me to right into kind of my segue here. Tonight's pace car, the 2019 Ford Mustang GT. It's powered by a 5.0 V8. It's got 460 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. Delivers 420 foot-pounds of torque at 4,600 RPMs. It comes available in a 6-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic with select shift. A 16-gallon gas tank, Rick, which means that he has a bigger gas tank in his car than these drivers do have fuel cells.
Well, that is true. Now, listen, okay, I know you probably pulled some of that out of your hat because I know that you used to work for a Ford dealership, okay, and you've been around a lot of cars. I can start going on with Nissans and Datsuns, too, from back in my younger age. But listen, this is how good Chris is, okay, guys? You ready? Chris, what's the tire size on that Mustang?
235, 50, 18.
Yeah, I can tell you that's not on Wikipedia. Okay, that's actually in Chris's head, folks. Just so you know.
And I do want to go ahead and say that is front and rear. They don't wear staggered shoes on the Mustang. Austin Derbyshire picking up the turn 3 Racing Network Toyota. New paint job. I got a glimpse at this last night. I was excited to see it out on track. Glad he went ahead and used it. Touches the wall, and Austin crosses the start-finish line. So he is going to waste a lap, but he's got 7th so far in the speed charts. Rick, last season's, the last 2 seasons, honestly, James Miller out on track, and Miller moving real slow. That Toyota Supra, I think, is capable of going faster. He might be calling that a no-go out of the 09. He might be just resetting that car, getting ready to come back out and do it again. Terry Foster is back. Welcome back, Terry.
Now, one thing I love, Chris, if you look in, I mean, it might be kind of hard now, but during the race tonight, look in Thomas Wagner's number 43 Ford Mustang. Okay, Thomas is kind of like me. Okay, he's an active duty firefighter. I'm an ex-firefighter, and as we know, 9/11 coming up, and as you know, that's a day that's very close into my heart, and you know, so Thomas has a little honoring on his cars, and he's going to be running that. So for firefighter Captain Terrence Hatton, Rescue One, really good. I know, Thomas, I know you just sent that to me. I actually already knew that. Every year it's something that's kind of I've done for quite a while. I actually type out every name of the 343 that was lost on that day as a memorial on my Facebook page. So pretty cool, and thank you for doing that. I know it's close to your heart just as much as it is mine.
Out on track to number 55, Ryan Flanagan. I had mentioned earlier, Rick, that there was a tie for 20th spot in the point standings. Ryan Flanagan is the guy that didn't quite make the list because the list has only so many spots to put in, but Flanagan is that guy that was tied for 20th. So Flanagan looking to have a good night tonight, maybe try and bump himself onto that list so he can be seen next week.
You know, that 55 looks sharp out there, Chris. I mean, we actually talked about that last week in Daytona when the 55, which back then in 2001 obviously was the 15 Napa car, and the 8 was actually running just the way that they were on that fateful day there. So that was pretty cool to see, man. So I'm hoping that Napa know-how number 55 has a good race here tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah, the Chevy Camaro trying to get around the track. And so far doing a fine job. He's got 5th spot, a 35-20. Not a bad way to start your night.
Not at all.
Matt Grunberg, we saw him out on track for qualifying, Rick. He did not cross the start-finish line to actually perform a lap. And that's kind of typical lately, too, of Grunberg, not showing what he's got, not really qualifying that car. And he is not on the list so far.
Yeah, a couple of drivers actually went out there and had a little bit of an issue, Chris. Maybe slapped the wall a little bit, so kind of shut it down a little early. They know that it's hot, it's slick out here in Atlanta. I don't think I've ever been to a iRacing Atlanta race where it wasn't hot and slick.
I'm laughing because just as I was talking about Matt, all of a sudden I noticed he starts moving. He crosses the start-finish line sideways at 5 minutes. He was not qualifying? Not at all.
He's like, no, okay. Listen, before we get going, I want to thank everybody out there in Turn 3 Racing Network land for joining Chris and I here with the Relentless Boys on a Friday night here at Atlanta. Thanks for keeping chat going, Terry. It's good to see you out there. Hopefully you're enjoying vacation. James M., Maloon, Fish Guts, everybody out there, thank you.
And Rick, let's get this thing started up. In the about 4 years I've been on iRacing, this is the first time I've seen this. Your front row tied at a 34-26. First place going to be Nate Stewart in his 13. Samuel Garcia has got his 50 on the outside. Those two drivers running identical times here around Atlanta. In the second row, starting in 3rd spot, it's going to be Chris Sever. And on his outside, Eric Lyda. Ryan Flanagan picking up 5th spot. Adrian Pedra in the 78 to his outside. Starting in 7th position tonight is going to be Joshua Kane with Douglas Hess in the 25, starting in 8th position. Next row back, row 5, starting in 9th position. It's going to be last week's winner, driver of a Turn 3 Racing Network car, Austin Derbyshire. To his outside, going to be Jake McDonald, starting in 10th spot, his number 15. Rick in 11th. It's going to be Scott Mertz in his number 75. Ruben Zepeda in the 9 car, going to be starting in 12th position.
And Chris in row number 7, starting that out in 13th position, is going to be the 43 of Thomas Wagner. Next to him is the 23 of Tony Edmondson starting 14th. And then we have Jeffrey Fisher in his 06 going to be starting in 15th. Next to him, James D. Miller in the 09, 16th. Then we got Matt Gruenberg starting 17th in row number 9. Next to him, Christopher Tate in the 24 going to be starting 18th. In row number 10, we got Jeff Price starting in 19th. And Trenton Sneed in the number 8 machine going to be starting 20th. In row number 11, the 45 of Troy Leonard going to be starting 21st. Andrew Beach in the 3 going to be starting 22nd. We got the 11 other Turn 3 Racing Network machine out there. Derek Garrison going to be starting 23rd. Jeffrey Cox in the 88 going to be starting 24th. And that's going to round out the field.
And that's everybody here tonight at Atlanta. This is going to be something else. New cars on the track. Drivers have to figure them out as we go. Atlanta is going to be a tough place to do it. She's hot, guys. 108 degrees on the track tonight. 82 degrees in the air temperature. Toyota Supra, Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaros getting ready to do battle here in the Relentless Racing Series as the green flag drops and Nate Stewart on the inside takes the early advantage. It's awful cloudy out there in Atlanta, but the 13 doesn't seem to mind. We're under caution already. The 15 involved looks like James Miller, your points leader, also involved with that one. We're going to have to go back and take a look. Got the 09. That's James Miller, your current. Well, he's not your points leader right now, but he's up there in the points here. He came in as a. Oh, the 15 is the one that came around, so we're gonna have to change that just a little bit. We'll go back and take a peek, see what happened to the 15 right on this first lap, Rick.
While you're doing that, Chris, I'm actually thinking about some Timbits right now and some Tim Hortons coffee. I don't know why.
Watching that outside line, the red and blue car with the white trim. I'm not sure if there was contact there or not, but the 15 goes around. Thomas Wagner was to the inside. We're going to back up one more time. No contact made. The 15 gets loose and he goes around. The 09 dives out of the way. And I don't believe there's going to be any damage on that Toyota Supra. Jake McDonald, not so lucky. You can see the sheet metal missing on the rear end. A little bit of scratching up on the hood. I'll tell you what, man, this is pretty cool to be able to see these cars kind of come apart. This is really cool.
Well, one, I just want to mention to all the viewers, because these guys do have one pass repair. Nobody wants to use it on lap number 2 or 3 of the race, but it is there for the guys. They are running 50% fuel in those tanks. But again, we talked about this earlier in the broadcast, Chris. I mean, everything is new here in iRacing right now. These guys are out there. These cars are handling different than something that they're used to. We get the graphical view of, like you said, the sheet metal trunk off that number 15. And we're going to see a lot of that tonight. And again, you know, the tire dynamic is totally different from what these guys, even from last season or last week, you know, just a week ago. Cars are totally different. So these guys got some learning to do.
Positions 11 on back have come down pit road. Why not? It can't hurt. Give you a few laps advantage on the fuel. If not, some fresh tires, even though you don't really need them at this point. Rick, we haven't talked about it, but the Relentless Racing Series does run stage racing. Tonight's stage races stages are going to end on lap 30 and lap 60. And of course, they're going to be a 60 lap shootout to lap 120 here in Atlanta.
Now, the one interesting thing to note with that, Chris, now that you said that, you know, so we're going to have second stage end at 60, and then, like you said, 60 laps. Well, there's going to be, unless there's a caution, there's going to be green flag pit stops because these guys cannot go the full distance. We're told about an estimate of around 30 laps on the fuel. The tire, with the way that the tire model is, I'm thinking somewhere around 20-25 before those tires definitely go away. So it's going to be real interesting to see once we get down to that. that last part of the race on how those things go. But man, let me tell you, these cars look beautiful out there, man. iRacing did an outstanding job with all these. And I mean, when you look at the Chevy Camaros, dude, it looks like they're smiling at you. I mean, if you go to like the 88 Budweiser machine right there, I see out there on Tractors. When you just, well, actually, there's a couple number 8s out there, but any of them, you know, they do. They look like they're smiling at you.
Well, Rick, they are, because you were one of the guys that came in and bought one. They're happy with you.
Well, you know what?
And at 36,000 1 mile, the ball joint's gonna fail.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm gonna do this just for you. Okay. So when I got home tonight, I had an update to do. Again, I don't know what, something changed or something didn't take over when the build came out there yesterday. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy these cars. Okay. I got a $15 credit, so that's gonna cover the cost of at least one. So I'm gonna buy one. So I didn't have my glasses on, and I clicked on the Ford Mustang, thinking that it was a Chevy. Okay. I wasn't paying attention, and I'm like, what? I just bought. Okay. Now I gotta buy the other two because I can't just have the Ford. But I knew that you would love that. So there it is. It's on the record. It's forever on YouTube till their servers crash and we lose it. So enjoy it. I actually bought the Ford first over the Chevy.
On purpose, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe the glasses thing, okay? He did it on purpose. And speaking of getting ready to do it on purpose, I thought I saw the pace car lights off. Looks like they're back on. So we'll go around this 1.5-mile track just a little bit more. And these guys trying to figure these cars out, Rick. And kind of knew coming into Atlanta this wasn't going to be the easiest task out there. But here we are. The 23 getting set. Looks like he may have a chance to go around the pace car, get a lap back.
And eventually I'm going to have a surprise for you, Chris. I'm not going to say when because, you know, I'm like you right now. I'm working with you, so you know how busy I am now. There's no more slacking time. But I'm going to have a surprise done for you there on iRacing at some point.
He's going to paint a Ford before he paints a Chevy.
Bam. You just got to find a way to put the headlights on the front and the front grille on the back so that way the driver can return on foot. There's got to be a way to do it.
Well, I'm looking through the field, and it is a little Ford light out there. Chevy and Toyota seem to be dominating the field.
I'm actually counting 6 Ford Mustangs now out in the field, Chris. Now, when we first started broadcasting Relentless, there was only 1 or 2 drivers, and Thomas has always been a dedicated. Well, he did start out with a Chevy, but then he went to Ford. He's been there for the last couple seasons. So Ford has been pretty light out there. But man, let me tell you, these cars, I'm going around a bunch of the cars, and now that the trading paints is actually starting to work for me, there's a couple cars that I'm kind of questioning right now. And I know next week it'll confirm things, but there's some beautiful paint jobs, man. And iRacing did an outstanding job with this stuff. We're on the green.
We are, and kind of an interesting restart there, but certainly we are under green. The 13 and Nate Stewart seems to be pulling away already. Rick, a 6/10 of a gap, second gap over Sam Garcia. Ryan Flanagan running in 3rd position. Adrian Pedra is in 4th place. Douglas Hess 5th. And right behind Hess is Scott Mertz. Mertz running that 75 and 6th spot. Looks like no sponsor on the car tonight. Ruben Zepeda in the 9 car. He is getting chased down by a group of 3. They're being led by Austin Derbyshire. Derbyshire driving one of the Turn 3 Racing Network cars. Again, that's a new paint job that I was lucky enough to see last night. And look just a couple positions back because here comes Derek Garrison. Garrison, the other driver for Turn 3 tonight. I want to thank these guys, Rick. You know, they had a night to either practice or do a paint job. And these guys got a paint job done quick, fast, and in a hurry to show their support.
I know, yeah, Austin, I mean, number one, it's amazing, Chris, because like you said, I mean, these guys did this on their own, okay? Now, Austin is kind of in with us. He's been working on some overlays, and I know that he's been very busy, so he is working on overlays. We're not running them again tonight, but he's getting close to getting us a new build. But like you said, he painted this car, and he does outstanding work, man. I mean, the graphic stuff that this guy can do is just amazing. So if anybody needs anything, definitely ask Austin, because he will definitely help you out and you will be very happy with it. Then you got Garrison. Garrison actually did this for us last season. And what was kind of cool, Chris, is he actually used kind of the same paint model that I use on one of my trucks where I got my first truck win in an official series. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I mean, both those cars just look beautiful out there, and especially when they're running nose to tail like they are now.
They are right now, and Garrison is screaming around this track. It looks like he may have this car figured out just a little bit better than the guys he's driving with. Unfortunately, right now, for him, he's kind of stuck right now. The two turn 3 cars side by side. Garrison to the inside, Derbyshire on the outside. Derbyshire starting to go backwards. That outside line, not where he wants to be right now. He's got to figure out a way, Rick, to work that inside lane.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I was just going to say, you know, Atlanta, they can have 2 and 3 wide racing here. The track is nice and wide, Chris, and it's kind of like Daytona or Talladega. You know, it is a super speedway, in a sense. And these guys can actually do what they want to do, but you really got to get that bottom lane rubbered in, and you kind of need some help. I mean, here we are, we're at Atlanta. Drafting is huge, so you got to have somebody to draft with. Now you see Austin Derbyshire, he goes down, they're trying to work in down through the corners, getting that track nice and rubbered, but then they come right back out against the wall, and that's where they're going to stay. Now, come later in the race, I have a feeling that lane is going to shift down a little bit.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Rick, and I'll tell you, man, I am just completely in awe with these cars. They look pretty good out there on the track, and man, pretty cool stuff.
You know, I mean, being on the service myself for 4 years, because I mean, you know, I wear glasses now. Okay, it's only been a couple of years that I've had glasses, but that's one thing that I always disliked about running. I mean, with iRacing, you're stuck in cockpit view. It's not like, you know, jumping in NASCAR heat or anything on your console where you can, you know, have an overhead view or anything. And I always hated the gauges because it was so hard to read them, no matter what you were doing. I mean, when you're on single screen, 3 monitors, and then VR came along, it was a little bit better. But man, did iRacing knock it out of the park this time with this build in these cars. You can see the gauges, you can clearly see what they're labeled as, so you can really watch. And that's one thing that I love about iRacing, is that you actually have to watch your temperatures and everything else to make sure that car is not going to blow up.
Couple of drivers making some pretty big moves so far. Chief among them, Matt Gruenberg in the number 54. He started in 18th place, Rick. He is up 12 positions, running in 6th right now. And Gruenberg's got a couple of drivers just ahead of him, so he may be trying to work his way to the front. Captain Stage Racing right there, number 54.
I mean, we saw it last season too. I mean, before he took his break, Matt Gruenberg, man, no matter where he starts, he's one of those drivers that, oh, we're under caution. But he's one of those drivers that can start anywhere in the back of the field, Chris, and you're going to know that he's going to work his way up towards the front.
Absolutely. As we go back, it looked like it was the number 28, Joshua
28,
Kane.
yep.
Yeah. Joshua Kane working behind the 09. Oh, gets loose. Just absolutely gets loose. Oh, gets into the 45. That's Troy Leonard. Leonard's got to be like, are you kidding me, man? I was just driving. Heavy damage to the right side of the number 28. He gets it spun back around. Part of that damage model. That's pretty cool, too. As we are back under caution here in Atlanta, lap 16 of 120. So we had a decent green flag run that time. These guys definitely trying to figure this car out. And it looks like everybody may be coming down pit road this time. Rick, that tire thing that we were talking about earlier, I don't know that these cars are actually going to be able to go 30 laps on a set of tires. Based on what I'm seeing, I mean, everybody's coming down. Even those guys who have already come down pit road, they're coming down again, and you got to think it's for tires.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of guesstimated somewhere around lap 25-ish or 25-ish maybe as a best case scenario for these tires. I mean, I know that the dynamic, and that's one thing that I kind of dislike, Chris, is that I don't have time like I used to be able to come in with a new build. I mean, that was something that I was proud of myself on, is getting out there and testing out the new builds, but I just don't have the time now. So I do watch as many, you know, videos and read as much as I possibly can on the forums. I know that this tire model is totally different. and they don't hang on like they used to. Now, there was a guy that actually went out there and tested warming up the tires versus not warming up the tires for like 10-15 laps. There was a difference in the temperature. The tire wear didn't go away, but the temperatures, and that's big. I mean, when you get these things warmed up, I mean, any driver knows when you get your tires warmed up, they get sticky, and you're able to control the car a little bit better. When they start wearing, obviously, or they're cold, you have a chance of spinning and having an issue. And one cool thing, and I don't want to say this as a bad way, but I kind of hope I see one blow tonight, because it is pretty cool when it happens. I mean, you don't see rubber and everything flying all over the place, but they do go flat, and it does add time into pit stops. So it is pretty cool. iRacing just knocking it out of the park once again.
Again, it is a little bit cloudy here tonight in Atlanta, but that is actually starting to work towards the driver's favorite temperature right now on the track. 104 degrees air temperature, steady at 82. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out here on Turn 3 Racing Network to check out the Relentless Racing Series, their Xfinity cars. These are the new Xfinity cars. I'm so glad to be able to bring you all of the action here tonight. Guys, there's no better way than to come out on a Friday night, kind of get rid of all the stress of the week, than to watch a race. Here we are, bringing it to you live, and we can't thank you enough for spending some time on a Friday night right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network.
You know, it's amazing, Chris. I mean, we got Haley Fisher out there. We got Fish Guts out there. They're rooting on their driver, obviously Jeffrey Fisher. You know, we got Terry Foster. He's out there. He's on vacation, man. He's checking in there. That's driver on our Sunday league that we actually get the broadcast there. Blazing Pedals. He's always out here. Skittles. And so many people, man. We really appreciate you guys coming out here and spending the time, giving these guys the support that you need. I mean, honestly, I want to see some more thumbs up out there for the Relentless Racing guys. But Friday nights, amazing, dude. I mean, we always clear somewhere around 20-25 viewers consistently. You guys make what Chris and I do here so much easier. We love that you guys are active in chat. We love to see the support out there for Relentless and all our other leagues that we broadcast here on Turn 3 Racing Network.
Rick, the pace car lights are off. These guys getting ready to go back under the green flag, and you know, we've got about 10 laps to go when they do, before the caution's slated to come back out for stage 1 finale. We've got a new race leader. It's Samuel Garcia, Adrian Pedro up to second spot. Right behind him, Matt Grunberg in third, Doug Hess, Garrett Garrison rounding out the top 5, Eric Lyda, Nate Stewart, Austin Derbyshire, Chris Tate, and Chris Cervera. I know I'm murdering that last name, but Chris is rounding out the top 10. Miller in 11th, Ruben Zepeda, Trenton Sneed, Jeff Price, and Andrew Beach rounding out the top 15. And you got Joshua Kane, Jake McDonald, Jeffrey Cox, Tony Edmondson, Thomas Wagner, Ryan Flanagan, Jeffrey Fisher, Troy Leonard. Rounding out the rest of the field, looks like Scott Mertz may have called it a night. As we go back under the green flag, Samuel Garcia takes that green, and we are back live racing here in Atlanta. Rick, we're going to let these guys get up to speed, and I think we're going to do it one more time here tonight. A Friday night, crank it up, courtesy of the Relentless Racing Series. under caution one more time. Had to come out of the crank it up, which is kind of a bummer, man. I was just getting in the mood for it. But here we are, nonetheless, under caution, lap number 23. And it looks like maybe Tony Edmondson may have been involved. We're going to go back and take a peek.
Yeah, you want to watch the 06 there, Jeffrey Fisher also, Chris.
All right, well, Rick, key in the end to the 06. Here we go. Oh, they go 3 wide just for a second. Here comes the 55 to the inside. Fisher running in the middle. The 55 looks like he's got a huge momentum of speed here. Oh, he gets into the backside of the 06. And, oh, yeah. Well, it looks like the 23, Tony Edmondson, actually got the worst end of that. The 06 looks like he's going to be okay. A little bit of damage to the left rear fender. Other than that, and this is what's really cool about this new build, Rick. Other than that, I don't see much. Nonetheless, here we are back under caution once again. These guys really having a hard time so far, just trying to figure it out.
We got Scott Mertz checking in on chat. Wrecked on lap 13. Was nice racing with these guys. These cars just suck. Well, you know, Scott, that's one thing with the new build, man. I mean, everyone's kind of in the same boat, but without a lot of time to really test on what's going on, it is definitely different. I mean, when builds like this come out, I mean, when I was running a league with Chris, you know, that was one thing that we did. We always stayed away from week 13, let the build come out. We actually threw up a bunch of practice races for that week, just for that reason, because everything's different. I mean, iRacing really did a lot of things with this build. The new cars are totally different. Aero is different. The tire package is different. And these things don't race like the cars did last week. So it's something, I mean, as the season goes long, you guys are going to figure it out. It's just going to take a couple races.
Absolutely taking a look at the 3 of Andrew Beach and Rick. That's a pretty damn good paint job right there.
Well, you know, as Earnhardt Senior fans, Chris, I mean, it is amazing just to see that thing out in the chat. I mean, I put it in a private chat there with you. And, you know, Andrew, I hope you never change that paint, man, unless you change numbers. But, man, thanks for running that paint. It means a lot to Chris and I. I mean, that's our hero out there on the track. And it's pretty cool to see that car out there in those colors with that sponsor, man. It is just amazing. It's actually kind of cool, Chris. We do have some new teams this year. We got AB2 Crap It. I think I don't know how Fisher and Miller are really saying that, but we also have Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, which Andrew Beach is part of there for that team. We have One Sim out there with Austin and Matt Gruenberg out there. We got Rowdy Racing, Shift Point Motorsports, Wagner Racing. So got some new teams, some new names out there. It's pretty cool to see. I really like that Dale Earnhardt Inc. Those guys are having a lot of fun out there with those.
Oh, both with the paint jobs and just in general. I mean, look, one of the things I miss the most is actually driving. You know, I bought a wheel, Rick, and as you know, as we go back under the green, I've used the thing twice. I bought a brand new wheel. I've used it twice. There's something wrong there. So anyway, we got Matt Gruenberg up front, and man, did he launch himself away from the field. 0.7 of a second already, and we're just getting on the backstretch, Rick.
We are, and I mean, that's one thing that we talked about earlier. It doesn't matter where Matt Gruenberg, Mr. Stage, racing himself out there, doing his thing, and here he is, and we're on lap 26 of 120. We do have stage 1 ending at lap 30. It's no surprise to see that number 54 leading this pack down through across the start finish line, heading into turn 1 now.
A lot of good driving going on right now. Side by side, well, almost side by side battle for 4th spot. That's between Derek Garrison and James Miller. Miller trying to take it away. Garrison fighting back on the inside. Austin Derbyshire now joining the fray. The outside lane maybe coming in.
Yeah, it's starting to come in. I mean, the guys are starting to use the lanes a little bit more there, Chris. And it's kind of cool. There's the Turn 3 Racing Network guys. They're out there. They're on different teams, but hey, they're out there doing their thing, working with each other to try to find their way around the number 9. That's James Miller, the goose himself out there, driving that Tim Hortons number 09. I could go for some Timbits right now, man. I had a customer at my old job that actually brought me in a dozen of those things, and you know, they kind of put Dunkin' Donuts to shame a little bit. I don't know about the coffee, never had it, but I heard it was pretty good too. But they're out there doing their thing, and you see a lot of different line changes right now going on. We got the 13 right now, Nate Stewart. He's working his way up through. He's sitting in 6th position right now. He's starting to use that inside lane. He's going to go around Austin Dimershire in that number 64. Kind of hung out there to dry as they go 3, almost 4 wide right there. And they're just trying to figure it out. I mean, the track's starting to rubber in, Chris. The different lines are starting to come in. We're on lap 29 of 120. And right now, Matt Gruenberg in that number 54, like you said, just pulls away from the field right now. And it looks like as he crosses the start-finish line, that's going to start lap number 30. And there's the Stage 1 winner once again, Matt Gruenberg in the number 54.
Your Stage 1 winner, as Rick said, the 54, Matt Gruenberg. He's led 7 laps. His best lap time, a 36.19. He had a little bit over a second lead when that caution came out, Rick, as we do fall under stage number 1. So congratulations goes out once again to the number 54. Back-to-back races, he's won stage number 1. And the 54 cuts the engine. Always trying to save fuel is Matt Gruenberg. He is something else. Guys, we're going to let commercials happen, or excuse me, pit stops happen. We're going to come back on the other side, try and catch a word with Matt Gruenberg. We'll be right back after this. And we are back just as pit stops start to begin. Matt Gruenberg leading the whole field down pit road. Rick, we've had 2 drivers now retire from this one. Tony Edmondson about 9 laps ago. Scott Mertz the first to drop out. Mertz 19 laps ago. Tony about 9 laps ago. Pit stops are finishing up, and these cars are all getting out in a hurry. And we have a new race leader, Rick. It is the number 43. That's Thomas Wagner.
And Thomas running that beautiful bars and stars, Chris. He runs that paint scheme a lot, but he changes it up there just a little bit as he does his thing. Still got the Nationwide kids there on the trunk. But, man, he's out there. He's honoring one of the fallen brothers from 9/11 out there. From Rescue 1. He's going to come down now. He got his lap led. Now he's going to be heading down into his pit stall to get his service done. So Wagner out there doing a fabulous job in that number 43. I'm going to try to bring up Matt Gruenberg. Matt Gruenberg, number 54. This is Rick up in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, man, congratulations on winning number stage 1. I don't want to take up too much of your time there because I see the lights are off on the pace car, man. But how does that new Toyota Supra feel?
Oh, it feels great. I'm really glad to be in the new Supra. Yeah, it feels great. Made a lot of ground up on the initial stage and able to get the stage win. So hopefully we can continue it for stage 2 and through the end of the race.
Well, you know, I have a feeling you're going to be there at the end, man. I mean, Chris and I, we already nicknamed you Mr. Stage, and you're just proving it once again. Now, just really quickly, how do you like that dash cluster?
It's different, but yeah, I like it a lot better than the old one. So
yeah, it looks a lot better. Oh, hey, listen, man, congratulations. Looks like you're getting ready to go green as you're heading into turn number 3 right now. So congratulations on stage 1, and hopefully we'll be talking to you later on tonight.
Yep, thank you. Sounds good.
Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Matt Grunberg, driver of the number 54. He's on Team One Sim. You see that beautiful neon green Nike Toyota Supra out there, and the pace car is up, heading down pit road right now. All eyes are on the number 54, Matt Grunberg, as he hits that go pedal, and there he goes. The green flag is out, crossing the start finish line once again. Matt Grunberg, winner of stage number 1, putting on one heck of a show out here tonight. Started a little further back, I believe it was 18th position, worked his way up through, doing what he has to do, and this is why we call him Mr. Stage. I mean, Matt's one of those really good, cool, calm, and collected drivers. He will just start in the back and he'll work his way back up through the front, and that's exactly where he is right now.
So Matt Grunberg is your race leader. He's followed by Douglas Hess in the number 25, the Brandt car. Eric Lyda in the 33, doing a fine job. He's running in third. There's a battle for fourth spot between Nate Stewart and the 09 of James Miller. Stewart worked his way back up into the top 5, and here comes James Miller to the inside. Miller with a slight advantage, pushes up a little tight out of the 9 car. Almost made contact, had to back off a little bit. That's going to give Stewart the advantage in the 13. The 78 of Adrian Pedra, he is running in 6th spot. He's following these guys, trying to figure out how it's going to sort out. He finally does figure it out. He scoots down to the inside. Adrian Pedra putting on some pressure on James Miller. Pedra, Miller battling side by side, heading into the corner. The 78 may have a slight advantage coming off the corner. He does. Adrian Pedra into the top 5.
And it's kind of cool to see Pedra out there in the number 78, Chris, Furniture Row. I mean, we know that race team has folded now in real NASCAR, but it's really cool to see that back out there. A lot of these race teams, I mean, I love what these guys bring these cars that are no longer around and stuff like that. And it's just cool to see them back on track. And it looks like that these guys are really starting to figure out now, lap 37 of 120, and how these cars are running, because I'm seeing a lot more side-by-side racing, and these guys are just having fun out there.
Yeah, a little bit more side-by-side. Like you said, right now we're watching the 9 of Ruben Zepeda. He gets into the wall just a little bit. That's going to allow the 50 of Sam Garcia to go ahead. Then Zepeda closes the door on the 28. Joshua Kane not able to get around. Now may have a run. Kane looking to the inside in his Maynard's number 28 Ford Mustang GT. Rick, I think that one may have a little bit more horsepower than the pace car. The 28 gets around the 9. Christopher Tate in the 24. Kawasaki. The Chevy Camaro. A battle right now for 14th spot. The 88 and the 8. The 88, Jeffrey Cox. The 8, Trenton Sneed. Sneed in the 8, starting to go backwards just a little bit as the 88 of Cox has the momentum. You see the damage on the left front of the 8 car. That Budweiser car folded up just a little bit on the left front, and that may be affecting the ride on that vehicle. Behind them, it's the 14 of Jeff Price, and Price is just kind of watching. A little bit of damage on the right rear and actually the right front as well on the 14 machine behind them both. It's Ryan Flanagan currently being scored in 17th position. Remember, he is tied for 20th position in the point standings after race number 1. Andrew Beach kind of holding back. Holding steady though. He's running 18th position. The 3 car, very clean. Maybe just trying to let everybody sort it all out. There's Jeffrey Fisher. Fisher in the 06. He's running in 19th position. And Jeff got a pretty clean car. He was involved in one earlier. The left rear tells that story just a little bit. Jeff has been in pit road a couple of times. Had a little bit of that damage repaired. And he is back out on track. Again, running in 19th position. Jake McDonald in the 15. He's missing a whole bunch of sheet metal as the 15 got involved in one earlier on. And he is kind of limping around the track a little bit. Definitely not up to the same speed as some of the front runners, but on track nonetheless. The 45 of Troy Leonard, speaking of being involved in one, he was kind of sideswiped by another car that got himself into trouble. Leonard was out there just running his Smart Water Chevy Camaro around the track, and then, boom, somebody got into him, and around he went. Heavy damage to the left side of the 45. Thomas Wagner coming down pit road, skidding into place. Heavy damage to the 45. Will he get it fixed this time? No, he's going for tires. And that leads us right back to the 54 of Matt Gruenberg. Gruenberg's enjoying himself about a 2.5 second lead over Eric Lyda. Lyda running in second spot right now. He's being followed by Nate Stewart in the 13. Stewart led the first 16 laps of this race before giving it up when coming down pit road. But the 13 is fast. Keep an eye on him. The Dex Toyota Supra is a very, very fast car. He's proved it already here tonight by tying. Yes, that's right. I said tying for the pole. Two front runners to start this race had the exact same qualifying time. And I think, like I said earlier, I believe that's the first time I have ever seen that in this service. The 13 has a good run now. Here comes the 25 right behind him with him. Douglas Hess puts it onto the back bumper of the 13. And Eric Lyda finds himself in trouble now. Eric Lyda stuck to the outside as the 25 is now working the inside. The 13 of Stewart able to get around easily. The 25 trying to figure it out. Hess can't quite do it. And the 25 falls back into fourth spot. In fifth, it is Adrian Pedra. Pedra had a pretty good race going last week. Not able to seal the deal, but the 78 is running in the top 5 right now. Behind him, a quagmire of cars. And I do mean a bunch of them. The 09, James Miller, Austin Derbyshire, Derek Garrison, the 50 of Sammy Garcia, the 62 of Chris Cervea. They are all running together. Add in a couple more. The 9 of Ruben Zepeda, Christopher Tate in the 24. The 09 getting out of shape. He goes down below the line. The 28 of Josh Kane. They're all racing together.
Yeah, James Miller having a big issue there, Chris. He saved it from hitting that inside retaining wall, and then he tried to come back out on the track. But as you know, Atlanta, once you get down on that apron, you got to wait until you get into either the front or the back stretch to really get on there. So the 09 hangs on, did what he had to do. He falls down to 16th position.
Back up front we go, checking in on your race leader, and he is checking out. 4.3 second lead now over Stewart. Stewart in the 13. Remember, he did lead the first 16 laps of this race, and Stewart now in second spot ahead of Eric Lyda. Stewart going to try and figure out if he can, or if he has the equipment that it's going to take to try and catch the 54. The 54 in that fresh air, Rick, very, very strong tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Gruenberg, once he gets out front, Chris, he's hard to reel in because he just takes off and does what he does. And man, that number 54 looking strong and happy out there with that nice clean air there. So right now, Matt Gruenberg, he's sitting there just doing his race thing, and probably got a big smile on his face because, like you said, he's opening up one big gap. Right now, that gap is 4.800 seconds.
Now 4.8, call it 5. Might as well. Gruenberg certainly is opening up as he heads into turn 3. Getting ready to negotiate through turns 3 and 4 is Matt Gruenberg. We're going to climb on board the 54 and have him take us through a lap this time by. Good ride out of the 54 as we cross the start-finish line. Thank you very much to Matt Gruenberg for bringing us around Atlanta for a couple of laps. Wicked action there on the 54. What a ride.
What a ride. And it's just amazing, Chris. And that was kind of cool because it gives the viewers a chance to look at that gauge cluster, something that they don't get to see there when we're broadcasting unless we go into that cockpit helmet view. And as you saw, I mean, those gauges look pretty clean. I mean, you can read which one's the water temp, the oil pressure. You see that the fuel gauge over there on the right is clearly in the view for the driver. It's not hidden behind the steering wheel like it used to be. So you can really kind of keep an eye out on that and kind of guesstimate on where you're going. Now, obviously, this isn't like a fuel gauge in your personal car that you drive Monday through Friday into work, and we're under caution.
Chris Cervera going around and into the outside retaining wall hard. We're going to have to go back and take a look, see what happened. So the 62 running the outside line. And he's got a couple of cars around him. Right behind him, there'll be 11 of Derek Garrison. Garrison had to run to the inside, the 62 to the outside, as they're negotiating through the corners. Oh, the 77 gets. Oh boy, what an interesting thing to have happen here. Well, it ended up with the 62 planted firmly in the wall. We're going to go back one more time. I want to see that one again, maybe out of the cockpit view. So the 78 just ahead in these two cars. It almost looks like they made contact. We're going to find it. Oh yeah, the 78 gets loose and then boom. I mean, dead stop. Dead may be exactly the answer as that car hung up on the wall. Heavy damage.
And again, that damage model is just amazing. I mean, number one, you saw the flagger. Okay, he's out there. He's waving that caution flag, Chris. That just came I think it was last build, not the newest one this week, but the build before that where the animation with the flag stand. I mean, that's something that you and I always said, you know, drivers are sitting there looking at lights, and it would be cool to see the flag guy actually start waving them. So that's there. But man, that damage model is just amazing.
Yeah, pretty darn cool.
Just a few builds ago, that would just be like a crumpled hood.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey, Jake McDonald is going to be your race leader right now, as most of the other drivers have come down pit road. So McDonald opting to stay out, collect that bonus point, and why not? Heavy damage to that 15. Try and get your points how you can tonight. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out to the Turn 3 Racing Network. It's been a lot of fun tonight so far here in Atlanta. And we really do appreciate you ending your work week right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Unless you're like me or Rick or a couple other people and have to go into work tomorrow. Although, Rick, you don't have to go into work tomorrow. Just saying.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on. You know that I have some stuff here to do at the house. And one of the things is actually cleaning out my studio here. So that might take precedence over that, but we'll see.
Jake McDonald led his lap. Now he's coming down pit road, and look at this. We've got a new race leader. It's going to be the 13 of Nate Stewart getting it done on pit road. A 14.2 second pit stop versus Matt Gruenberg's 14.6.
Yeah, I mean, the pick crew that's number 13, Chris, they were on point right there doing what they had to do. Now, again, with this damage model, it could have been anything. I'm not really sure what happened with Gruenberg. Maybe just had a little bit of an issue. Maybe a guy lost a lug nut or something. They had to fix it. I mean, the Toyota guys, they're good for that. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Finally, something we can agree on, Rick. Toyotas are not our favorite car.
One thing I learned in the last on track. I don't know. Their steel wheels are no fun either.
That's very true. If you own a Toyota and it has steel wheels, if you have your tires changed, give the guys a chance that are doing it, because they're not easy. Just take my word for it.
Oh, I will. I've seen it firsthand already.
Speaking of Toyota, we have a Toyota out front. It is Nate Stewart, and Stewart just led his 18th lap.
Yeah, 18 laps led, Chris. He's out there. Now we're on lap number 57 of 120. Let me tell you, from lap 30 to lap 57, that thing just flew by, man, because now we're looking at the end of stage 2 here. And Nate Stewart's got his eye set on the prize right now, but he knows that he has Mr. Stage himself right behind him. That's Matt Grunberg in the number 54, winner of stage 1. But right now, Nate Stewart, he's got a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, he really does. And it looks like these guys going to do a single file restart as the pace car lights are off. And this is not the first time we've seen this out of this group of drivers tonight, Rick. And I gotta kind of applaud the admins for this. I think it's a good move to have these guys restarting the new cars single file. I think it's a very good move to kind of let them have an opportunity to learn these cars, their handling characteristics. And plus, hey, we're here at Atlanta. It's hot. It's 105 degrees on the track, 83 in the air.
Yeah, I mean, when we started this race, Chris, it was 108, so it did drop a couple degrees, and that does help the drivers. I mean, 1 degree difference on a track does mess with the way that these cars handle, especially now. And, I mean, I can't say by personal preference, I haven't raced the new models, but these guys, they got their hands full tonight.
We're back under the green flag as the 2019 Ford Mustang GT drops off from the racing surface, and Nate Stewart able to hold on to that race lead. Matt Grunberg trying to catch him. He would love to win another stage here tonight, Rick. Grunberg in the 54 trying to close the gap. Right now it's 0.3 of a second. And Grunberg has a lot of work to do in a short time to do it. As we cross the line, it's going to be lap number 59. One more lap to go. Can Matt Grunberg find a way around the 13 and Nate Stewart to try and win his second stage of the night? Down the backstretch we go. And the 13 holding on to that lead. The gap actually increasing just a little bit. 0.3 of a second. Make it 0.332. As they come out of turn number 4, it looks like Nate Stewart going to be the stage 2 winner tonight. So congratulations goes out to Nate Stewart. Rick, he's led 21 laps so far. His best lap time, a 36.26. And at the line, he had a 0.240 lead over Matt Grunberg. Congratulations, Nate Stewart, for winning stage number 2.
Now that we're at the halfway point of the race, Chris, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the next 60 laps go. I mean, these guys know that, you know, it could turn into a really long green flag run. I mean, we've had 6 cautions so far. 2 of those are for stages, stage number 1 and now stage number 2. So 4 cautions signed. Not really that many if you really think about it within 60 laps. I mean, we had only 17 laps under caution. A lot of things could happen here. I mean, this is going to be interesting. We know that they can't go the full length on fuel, even though they're getting it now. It's going to, you know, around lap 90, these guys are going to have to come in. We know that the tires are not hanging on. So this is going to get real interesting.
Rick, we never did get a chance to talk to Matt Grunberg.
No, we did. You were
oh,
just...
I was gone.
Yeah.
I was gone. I'm sorry. So we did. So we're going to have to get Stewart up here after this pit stop. We will wait until he's back firmly on track past the commitment line to congratulate Nate Stewart.
We just had a big race off of pit road, Chris. Matt Grunberg almost took it over there. But it looks like Nate Stewart in the number 13. I mean, he came in here doing what he had to do. He started this race on the pole. So he's got a nice long run down pit road there, as we saw there. But that gives him a chance to get out before everybody else also, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, with all that action, Rick, we also have a new race leader. It's going to be Derek Garrison in the Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro. And the Gamester Tunnels Towers car. Just, he was fast, just not in on our hands on to Vegas, as Thomas Wagner has retired from the race. Also, Joshua Kane about 10 laps ago. So 4 cars now out of the race. Rick, why don't you bring on up Nate Stewart? let's chat with our stage 2 winner.
Nate Stewart, the driver of the number 13 machine. You got Rick and Chris up in the booth. You got a copy, brother?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Oh, man. Congratulations, first and foremost, on winning number stage 2. How are you finding that car handling there?
Loose. And with like about 5 O's.
Oh, that's loose.
Loose.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, listen, bud,
Yeah.
congratulations once again on winning stage number 2. You know the car is loose, and right now you find yourself in second spot behind Garrison. You are definitely a fast car. Obviously, you tied for the pole. I don't even know if you know that, but you and the guy to the outside, I actually forget who that was at this point, but you guys tied because you were in the 13. You got the inside row to start this race, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, me and Garcia tied. I was kind of shocked when that happened, but I mean, I was just lucky to start on the pole, and as you can see on the past 2 yellows, the number 1 pit box has really helped out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. But I said the pace car lights are off, so we're going to put you back down in the channel and say congratulations again, once again, on stage 2 win. We hope to talk to you again at the end of this one.
Thanks, guys. Have fun.
All right.
Good luck, bro.
The number 13, Nate Stewart, winning stage number 2. So both of the cautions for stages are done. Rick, Matt Gruenberg, Nate Stewart, the 2 stage winners. Derek Garrison, your race leader. The Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro looking good out front. My
Of course
worry,
the Chevys look good out front, bro.
well, yeah, I mean, my worry here is, he's already got 9 laps on those tires. Now, granted, a lot of those laps under caution, but he did not come down pit road for this stage 2 break. So it'll be interesting to see just exactly what he's going to have for a lot of those guys that have been battling up front, namely Nate Stewart, Matt Gruenberg, as the pace car drops off, getting set to go back to green. We're going to find out right now as Garrison hits the loud pedal. We go back under the green flag.
And Garrison did a good job there, Chris. I mean, he was very careful not to spin his tires, doing what he had to do. And, I mean, like you said, okay, he had now 10 laps on those tires, but some of it was under caution, so not too bad. And, but boy, he's got Nate Stewart right there behind him, looking for that lead once again, Chris. And then number 13, here comes Matt Gruenberg.
The 13 of Nate Stewart looking to the high side, may have found a little bit of momentum. Derek Garrison may be starting to go, why didn't I come down pit road when I had the opportunity? Garrison so far still holding on. Here comes Gruenberg to the inside. Gruenberg and Stewart working that inside, or the second row, and Garrison under attack now as Gruenberg lines up side by side. He goes by. Here comes the 13 of Nate Stewart and Rick. It's time once again to crank it up here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. caution one more time here as we were cranking it up, and it looks like it may have been the 55 of Ryan Flanagan. We're going to go back and find out if I'm right.
I also saw Jeffrey Fisher out there in the 06 stopped on track too, Chris.
Oh, Fisher, okay. Gotta go back quite a ways to find this one, it looks like. All right, on board with the 06 of Jeffrey Fisher. We're going to find out what happened to the Fisher. The 06 with not a lot going on around him here, so may have broke loose. Joshua Kane, happy birthday, bud. Congratulations on getting around the sun one more time.
Now, he's got until Tuesday before that happens again, Chris. Well, we're not going to see him on Tuesday, so definitely a huge happy birthday out to you, Josh. And you're right, not the way that you wanted to start your birthday weekend, man. But hey, listen, you can pack it up. You can get some practice in with this car. I mean, your number 28 Ford Mustang was looking good out there for a little while, but new build. Get out there, get ready for Las Vegas next week.
So the 06, we're still watching. I backed up way too far, and that's okay. Nobody really wants to watch these guys pace around Atlanta. Got the 64 Austin Derbyshire. Derbyshire had a pretty good run. He went around the 06. The 06 falls in line. The 06 has a good run back. Looks like he may have been peeking to the inside. Couldn't get it done. I backed up way too much, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I caught it really quick there. I mean, I was in the zone, man. I love it when you crank it up, bro. Listen to
55 gets into the back of the 06. The 06 tries to lock him up, gets into the outside wall, and you're right, comes to a dead stop as the caution came out. The 06 decides he's going to go ahead and use that quick repair. Brand new car for the 06. That's going to give Jeffrey Cox a chance to lead this one now, Rick, as some of the pit stops have happened. Cox stays out. He's going to go ahead and collect the bonus points for leading a lap. He's actually led the last two. Six cars off track right now. Trent Sneed, Ryan Flanagan, Joshua Kane, Thomas Wagner, Tony Edmondson, and Scott Mertz. That means we have 18 drivers still active, all, Rick, on the lead lap.
We started tonight with 24 cars, Chris. 18 left on track right now. Everyone's on the lead lap, so I mean, we're on lap 72, heading into 73 now of 120. The lights are going off on the pace car.
Lights are off on the pace car, and I just noticed the 3 car of Andrew Beach no longer being shown on track. Not sure if that was a iRacing connection issue or what's going on. As we go back under the green flag, the 13 of Nate Stewart. Going to be your race leader, Matt Grunberg in second spot, Douglas Hess in third, and Derek Garrison running fourth spot. In fifth, going to be Eric Leida. So Garrison running in fourth spot, Eric Leiter running in fifth, Sammy Garcia in the 50 is running in sixth spot. James Miller in the 09 running in seventh right now with Troy Leonard running eighth position, Austin Derbyshire running in ninth. Austin, last week's winner, not having the luck of the Irish here tonight. Atlanta seems to maybe have his number. Jeffrey Fisher in the 06, we just saw him kind of total his car. Back out there with a new one, though, is the 06 of Fisher. And Fisher is currently being scored in 10th spot. I want to go ahead and thank everybody once again for tuning in to Turn 3 Racing Network here on a Friday night. Guys, there's no better way at all to end your week, a hard week of work right here on Turn 3 Racing Network.
Now, we haven't talked much about the number 45 there, Troy Leonard, Chris. As you said, he's inside the top 10 right now, sitting in 8th position. He's got Austin Derbyshire in the 64 right behind him in 9th, trying to look on the inside there. But, man, Leonard just doing his thing out there with his Smart Water number 45 now. I know that we like to see him in the coat cars. Last season was pretty cool because he had a bunch of different paint schemes for that car. The Smart Water one's starting to grow on me, Chris. So that white and that light blue, looking really good out there.
Guys, I'm going to break the wall for just one quick moment and say, look, you know, whatever happens in race, that doesn't necessarily have to translate to chat. If it does translate to chat, it's going to get blocked. It's going to get yourself ultimately banned from the channel if it continues. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, if you're not happy in the current situation, find another situation. That's kind of how life works. Back to the race, though, Rick, as you were saying, Troy Leonard running in 8th spot. Right behind him, Austin Derbyshire and Jeffrey Fisher still holding on to 10th spot. Chris Rivera in the 62. He was involved in one earlier on. He's got a refreshed number 62. Sponsorless at the moment, but he is running in 11th spot. Christopher Tate behind him in the 24, running in 12th. Adrian Pedro not having the night he was looking forward to, running 13th in his number 78 furniture row car. Jeffrey Cox behind him in the 88, running 14th. Jake McDonald 15th. And Ruben Zepeda, the last car on the lead lap, the last car on track, Rick, running in 16th position. Up front, there is a battle for the lead. Here comes Matt Gruenberg. Gruenberg to the inside of the 13 of Nate Stewart. And Gruenberg may be looking for the lead once again. Gruenberg has led 34 laps to Stewart's 32. These cars very even, and they are side by side going in the corner. A little bit of a fight back from the 13, but ultimately I believe that inside line is going to win out. And at the line, too close to call. Who's it going to be?
I'm still showing Nate Stewart, but nope.
Oh man, .033. Back down to .001. Evened up now, going into the corners. These two cars putting on a clinic here in Atlanta. Here comes Gruenberg now. That inside line providing a little bit of advantage through turns 3 and 4. Matt Gruenberg at the line. This time, your race leader. Wow, what a battle.
It was a battle. I mean, the battle of the Supras, man. I mean, these guys out there doing everything. I mean, those are the 2-stage winners right there, running 1 and 2. Gruenberg 1 stage 1, Stewart 1 stage 2, and Stewart's still not giving up. I mean, he's backing off just a little bit. Gotta save the equipment. I mean, we still got a little bit of racing here. We're on lap 83 of 120, Chris. So that gives us about what, 20, I don't know, 38 laps left to go. And you know, they gotta, someone's got to give a little bit. I mean, these guys, if they race hard, that's going to allow Douglas Hess there, who's sitting there in the 25 Grant machine. I love that, man. That's Mal Geyer, go, buddy. Have that hat, just so you know.
Yeah, Sam Garcia doing a fine job too in the 50 car. Sam Garcia running in 4th spot. Behind him, Garrett Garrison in the Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro. So good of him to kind of rebuild that paint on the new car, Rick. That's pretty cool.
You know, like I said, you know, earlier in the broadcast, I mean, that's kind of the paint scheme kind of that I used on my truck there when I won at Auto Club, and it's kind of cool to see it transition onto these cars. And you know, these guys didn't have a lot of time, like you said. It was time between practice. I mean, I can tell you, painting a car, even something simple like that, it takes some time. And it's just amazing to see these guys come out here with those paint schemes, making it legit the way that they want it, and right back out here. And I mean, the support that we got from Garrison and Austin in the 64, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, these guys, they just did it out of the kindness of their heart, saying, hey, listen, I think we should have a Turn 3 Racing Network car out there. I'm going to do it. That's okay with you guys. And obviously, we're not going to say no. And both those guys, you know, we got one that's very simple, nice and clean, and then we got one that's kind of crazy and more dynamic and everything. And I mean, both of those paint jobs just look beautiful out there on the track.
Yep, absolutely. Between Derek Garrison, Austin Derbyshire, and you can see a lot of talent in that 64 machine. Great job again, once again, Austin Derbyshire. Matt Grunberg is your race leader. 2nd place, Nate Stewart. 3rd place, Sam Garcia. Sam is definitely marching up towards the front of the field. Now it's just a matter of, can he catch those 2 front runners, Nate Stewart, Matt Gruenberg. Derek Garrison running in 3rd spot, or excuse me, 4th spot. Again, being followed by Doug Hess and Eric Lyda. Lyda driving that 33. And that's a good looking car. I didn't notice the top of that before, Rick. Stars and bars make up the 23 on the roof.
Well, I mean, that's something that's cool. I mean, that's one thing that I kind of learned in my time painting, Chris, back before they actually gave us pit boards that we could do. Whatever you change the roof to would be what your pit board would be. So a lot of guys decided to start doing certain decals up on the roof to help them find their pit stall when they come down, especially when it's really busy. So that's kind of cool to see.
Defending champion of the race series, the 09 James Miller, currently running in 7th spot. Austin Derbyshire running right behind him in 8th. The 62 of Chris Silvera. Chris running in 9th spot with Troy Leonard in the 45 right behind. A good cluster of 5 cars right here. Oh no, the 64 goes around and he brings the 62 around with him. We saw that one live. Oh no. I hate to say it, Rick, but that might be the commentator curse right there.
You know, we've been pretty lucky the last couple of races, Chris, that hasn't happened. But yeah, I think you're right.
We're going to go back and watch this one kind of unfold here. Austin Derbyshire in the 64 has that inside line. And the 62 working right behind him. That's Chris Severa. Severa keeps it down low. He's one of the few drivers that kind of late in the run has been able to. And you see it right there. The 64 just gets loose. He ends up taking the 62 out with him. And I guess the guy that was probably the luckiest of them all was the 45 of Troy Leonard. Haley, I have tried, kind of getting to that point, I have tried painting a car, and I have painted exactly one car. Everything else that I've ever driven, Rick has done for me. It's one of those cases where you either have what it takes to do a paint job on one of these things or you don't. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, I do not have what it takes. Hey guys, we're on lap number 91 of 120. That means if these guys come down pit road right now, they should have enough fuel to make it the rest of the way.
And Haley, I've seen a lot of Jeffrey's work, and he does. I mean, he blows my talent away. So, like Krista said, I mean, it does take a lot to learn these programs. I mean, you got Paint Shop, you got GIMP, you got Illustrator. There's so many different ones out there that these guys are using, and let me tell you, Jeffrey's paints, I would be honored to race any of Jeffrey's paints. I mean, he does just an outstanding job. We got Brody out there, shake and bake. I saw that there, and just for that, I got a hold of a good friend, and this is what he had to say.
I'm Ricky Bobby. Don't chew Big Red, then you.
That's all I got. I like to shake and bake. Right now, folks, Chris is sitting at his house, shaking his head, trying not to laugh. I don't usually get to stump you for like a loss of words.
Yeah,
and this is all your fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. Up front, it's going to be Matt Grunberg, Nate Stewart, and Douglas Hess going to be your top 3 drivers. Eric Lyda sitting in 4th spot. Behind him, the 09 defending series champion, James Miller. Behind Miller, it's Jeffrey Fisher. Adrian Pedro is working his way back up towards the front slowly. The 78 running in 7th spot. Derek Garrison running in 8th. Sammy Garcia in the 50 running 9th, and Derbyshire, who just brought out that last caution, Derbyshire running in 10th position.
We got Jonathan out there rooting on his good friend Adrian Pedro right now. Chris on the 78. 78 doing a really good job. Starting here in 6th tonight. He's been able to stay right around that area. I mean, he's been doing a good job battling it out there with that Furniture Road number 78 machine. Right now he is sitting in 7th position, so he only lost one so far. We still have some laps left to go, so it's going to be interesting to see what Mr. Pedro can do.
What was 24 now down to 15, Rick. 15 drivers out there battling around Atlanta. Not the easiest track to battle around. It's been pretty darn hot here on track right now. The race surface 105 degrees. The guy who's got it figured out the best so far, your race leader, the 54 of Matt Grunberg. Grunberg has led 45 laps. The gentleman right behind him, and winner of stage number 2, the 13 of Nate Stewart. Stewart has led 33 laps so far tonight. Doug Hess running in 3rd. Hasn't been able to lead a lap yet, but I'll tell you what, a 3rd place finish tonight, that would be all right here in Atlanta.
You know, Atlanta's one of those tough tracks too, Chris. I mean, because it's so hot and slick. I mean, that's why everybody calls it Hot Atlanta. That's just the way it is. And these guys, like we said earlier, I mean, these guys really got it figured out now. Now they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot longer green flag runs out of the guys, and it's pretty fun to watch. I want to go ahead and, Rick, we say it multiple times, pretty much every time we're live here on the Turn 3 Racing Network, but we can't thank you guys enough for coming out and watching. You're giving up time, and in particular a Friday night, so we can't thank you enough for coming on out, watching some racing here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. As we go back to the green flag, and we watched Nate Stewart. He got loose on that restart. Tire spin is a real thing here in Atlanta with that temperature the way it is. The 13 going to lose a lot of ground to your race leader, Matt Grunberg. 0.7 of a second already. He's only coming out of the turns 1 and 2 just now. The 13 has lost a ton of ground to Matt Grunberg. You can have all the power in the world, Rick. If you can't put it on track, it's not going to do you any good.
Well, one thing that I find kind of interesting so far, Chris, watching, now 95 laps of this 120 lap race, I don't see a lot of guys scrubbing their tires. Now, for folks that don't know what I'm talking about, when you watch real live racing, you see the drivers, they turn their wheels really quickly left and right. They kind of just move that car. And basically what they're doing is they're warming up their tires and they're cleaning them off. And that helps now with the new build. Maybe these drivers don't know yet, Chris. I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of research there last night, watching some videos, reading on the forums there for most of the night. And that actually comes into play now. So before we used to see it a lot, but these guys, I've noticed nobody's really scrubbing their tires. And that could be hurting some people. I mean, I know I talked to a bunch of people who have done a lot of testing there with the new build, and they said that it actually does work. They actually took tire data and to make sure of it before they went out.
Oh,
on
Rick, the
forums.
11 is going around.
Big
We
one.
got two different accidents going on. The 50 and the 11 bringing it out. Sam Garcia and the 50, the 45. Oh my goodness, it's a mess. Adrian Pedra tied into that one too. We're gonna have to go back. We've got two of them to sort out here, and we're gonna do that right now. So the first one we're gonna watch is the 50 of Sam Garcia. On his inside, it's Adrian Pedra. Pedra getting past, and 11 kind of gets into Pedra a little bit. He comes off from him, and the 11 comes back out on track. That might be the most dangerous thing you can do, and he goes around. And then the 78 and the 50 get together, and then the 45 hard into the wall. Oh my goodness, what a mess.
Yeah, a bunch of big names they're taking out there, Chris.
I don't know if we can get it all in one shot or not, Rick. This is a big one. This involves a lot of drivers out there, including the 11. And there's where it all starts. The 11 gets sideways. He comes back out on track. Gets loose. Down the... Oh, boy. So the 11 goes around, and the 45 hard into the wall, and the 50 into the wall. Jake McDonald and the 15 into the wall. And we are under caution once again here, the Relentless Racing Series on a Friday night right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Again, thank you very much, guys, for coming out and watching. This has been a good one so far. And we've got about 23 laps, really.
23 laps left. I just got to look at that, Chris. So now these guys are coming down. They're getting fresh tires. They're getting fuel. So they're going to be able to go the rest of the way. There's no question about that. The tires might fall off a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a big issue. It's going to be just a run for the money right now.
7 different drivers have led this one for 13 different lead changes, Rick. Zepeda out there in his 9. That's Ruben Zepeda. And he has led 1 lap so far here under caution. Bonus points make all the difference, Rick. We've seen that time and time again on these long seasons. Every bonus point certainly does count. And Ruben Zepeda getting it in while he's getting is good. I'm certain we're going to see him come down pit road, and here he comes. That's going to give the race lead over to the 13 of Nate Stewart. Nate Stewart, by his time, looks like he may have just taken 2 tires along with Douglas Hess. Eric Lyda also may have just taken 2 tires.
Possibly 2, and just a splash of fuel there. Just top off the tank, Chris. Getting ready to go. I mean, they definitely fall within that 30-mile or 30-lap range that we kind of figured out there for fuel. Question is the tires going to be able to hang on if these guys go green? I mean, once again, I notice it's very interesting that you don't see guys scrubbing their tires. And maybe when they watch this back next week, we'll see it a little bit more, but it really does help. You want to get those tires clean. You want to get them warmed up a little bit, especially if you took new tires.
Former race leader Matt Grunberg in the 54 comes out of pit road after taking 4 tires in the 4th spot. And so Grunberg has a little bit of work to do, but he's got a slight advantage here, Rick. He's got rights and lefts on that 54 machine.
I think that's going to be huge. I mean, you know, the guys that decided to take 2, if that's what they did. I mean, I don't know how these cars refuel. I wouldn't think to take 9 seconds to fill them up just with a splash and go. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see. I mean, we've seen Grunberg before. He'll start at the back, and it doesn't take him very long to start moving up into the middle and then to the front of the pack. And so I'm not really worried about Grunberg sitting there in 4th as the lights go off on that beautiful Ford race car that I know nothing about. All I know is that it's a Mustang GT. With what size tires?
Well, the 2019 Ford Mustang GT pace car lights are off, and we're getting set to go back under the green flag. We've got 21 laps to go right now, 20 when they cross the start-finish line, Rick. And Nate Stewart finds himself as the race leader one more time, already having led 35 laps of this event. Matt Gruenberg, the lap count leader, is sitting in 4th spot after taking 4 tires in this last pit stop. Pace car going through turns 3 and 4 now, going to go down pit road in just a moment, and Nate Stewart is going to have control of the field. Nate Stewart has been very fast tonight. Him and Gruenberg really have kind of been the class of the field, and here we go, Rick. The loud buttons are pushed on all 14 cars left on track, and Nate Stewart starting to climb away already, 0.5 of a second before he enters turn number 1 back to Doug Hess.
Yeah, Nate Stewart got a really good restart there, Chris, doing what he had to do. He hung onto that car, did what he had to do, and now he's starting to pull away, like you said there. Right now, 0.633 right now is the gap between him and second place Douglas Hess. Hess right now under a little bit of pressure. Here comes Matt Gruenberg in the 54. Like I said, it didn't take him long to go from 4th to 2nd, Chris, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Douglas Hess trying to figure out that outside lane. I think Gruenberg, I mean, we've seen him. Gruenberg's really good on that inside lane. He's bringing Eric Lyda with him in that 33 machine, so that's going to be a big help too.
Matt Gruenberg taking over 2nd spot, doing it on the inside line. He does have 4 fresh tires versus the drivers that were in front of him on the restart. They took 2, and that could be their undoing here, Rick, as we cross the start-finish line with 18 laps to go.
I mean, right now, Nate Stewart, his last lap, Chris, was a 30.634. Matt Gruenberg was a 30.604. So Gruenberg a little bit faster there. And I think he's going to catch up to that 13 with no problem with that 4 fresh tires right now.
Yeah, well, let's keep in mind that the differential there isn't exact because Gruenberg was actually still trying to get around Hess during that time. So wasn't up to full song like he is now. The 54 is moving, and we can check now, Rick. And yeah, the differential 0.1 of a second. Gruenberg is faster than Nate Stewart at this point. In fact, Gruenberg, the fastest car on track.
Right now, with only 17 laps left to go, you know Nate Stewart's definitely looking. He's like, hey, listen, I got a really good lead. And, oh, there it goes. Because now he sees Gruenberg. He's definitely can tell that he's faster. So this is going to be interesting as we get down. We got now 16 laps left to go.
16 laps to go, working turns 1 and 2. Matt Gruenberg with the 4 fresh tires. Was that the call to win the race? We're going to find out here in about 16 laps. Gruenberg closing the gap, now only 0.4 of a second. He's leaving 3rd place runner Douglas Hess back by about 0.6 of a second. So that gap between 1 and 2 closing and opening up between 2 and 3. Behind 3rd place runner Hess, it's Eric Lyda in the 33. Austin Derbyshire picking up a 5th spot run so far. Jeffrey Fisher just outside of the top 5, running in 6th spot. Defending series champion James Miller running in 7th. Chris Savea, he has had one heck of a night, kind of an up and down night right now. He is running in 8th spot, and I guarantee you he's feeling pretty good about that. Derek Garrison right behind him, the 88. Jeffrey Cox to the inside. Jeffrey Cox to the inside of the 11 of Garrison, and Cox has a head of steam, comes off from the grass, mows the lawn just a little bit, loses that momentum, and Garrison able to keep in front of him, and now starts working to the inside, possibly to set up Chris Severa to the inside. Garrison does stay down low. Garrison now looking to the inside, has a little bit of help from Jeffrey Cox in the 88. Garrison getting a little bit of a wind push, now an actual push. The 88 of Cox gets into him just a little bit. The 11 gets a little squirrely. Derek Garrison holds on to it, and he is still battling with the 62 of Severa on the outside.
Severa had one of them pucker moments, Chris. I saw him on the outside there. He shot up towards that outside wall, was able to hang on to the number 62. Doing a good job. Now they got nose to tail there a little bit. I think that's going to settle them out just a little bit. Those guys probably like, woo, I don't know how we made it through that.
Yeah, now it's time to take a breath and start working your way up just a little bit. Derek Garrison leading those 2 other cars, a pack of 3, and they are working their way towards Jeffrey Fisher, just about 0.9 of a second ahead of them. We'll check in up front. It's going to be Nate Stewart. Nate Stewart is your race leader, and he's got a rear view mirror full of the 54 Matt Gruenberg. Stewart moves down to kind of cut off the line from Gruenberg. Gruenberg, no place to go. Gets up to the rear bumper, this time by Gruenberg. Aggressive move, hangs it down low to the inside. Has a fender, now side by side, heading into turns 1 and 2. Gruenberg takes over the race lead.
And that was kind of interesting, Chris. Ooh.
Ooh, Stewart with a big wiggle.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was just going to say. So Stewart was, we saw him. He tried to work that inside lane. Obviously, the 13 can't hold down there with just the 2 tires, those 4 fresh tires.
Caution on the field. It looks like it may be. We're going to have to go back, Rick. I'm not sure. We're going to go back and take a peek. It may have been James Miller or Sammy Garcia, not sure. It looks like it may have been the 50th, Sammy Garcia. Garcia out there running a little bit on his own there. Plenty of gap between him and the 9 car, of Ruben Zapata.
Yeah, I do see the 50 has pulled it out behind the garage, Chris. He's loading up, heading to Las Vegas.
That's a real shame. Sammy Garcia was having a really good run here tonight. We haven't quite gotten there yet. Oh, Garcia comes off in the corner, gets loose, hits the inside retaining wall, and slides back out on track. Luckily, not a lot of drivers behind him, so we are able to continue on just as Rick Gruenberg took the lead, and Matt Gruenberg leading everybody down pit road. 4 new tires are on the market, I'm betting, for a lot of these drivers.
Oh, yeah. Well, they saw what Gruenberg could do. I mean, he went from 4th to chasing for the lead there with just within a couple of laps, so they know that the 4-tire thing is going to work for them.
Gruenberg takes 2 there, Rick.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Now, what's kind of interesting, Chris, we have 9 laps left to go. We also have to remember these guys, now with the new green-white checkered, they have 3 attempts if it comes down to that, so this is going to get really interesting.
Gruenberg takes 2 tires to maintain the lead. Austin Derbyshire also takes 2 tires. He's coming out in 2nd spot. Jeffrey Fisher with 2 tires comes out in 3rd. Nate Stewart all the way back to 4th. Nate Stewart takes 4 tires. Adrian Pedra in 5th taking 2. Douglas Hess in 6th position taking 4. Looks like series defending champion James Miller with 2 and everybody else taking 4. So this one far from over with 9 laps to go. Some pit strategies happening at the moment. Top 2 drivers happen to be running for the same team. It's Matt Gruenberg, Austin Derbyshire. And Derbyshire, last week's winner in Daytona. I want to go ahead and take a look at the point standings once again, because it's going to get shaken up a little bit here tonight. Austin Derbyshire is your points leader after winning in Daytona last week. Matt Gruenberg only 2 points behind. Already tonight, he's picked up an extra point for winning the stage on stage number 1 tonight. And Derbyshire trying to close the gap a little bit to try and defend that point standings lead. But if Derbyshire can't somehow get around Gruenberg may launch himself to the points lead here tonight, Rick.
I mean, it's only the 2nd race of the season, too. We got a long season left to go here, Chris. But like you said earlier, every single bonus point matters. If you can lead a lap, if you can win a stage, I mean, obviously stage points come into play. And I believe these guys do it just like NASCAR. So the guy who comes in wins, gets 10 extra points, and then it moves down into the top 10 with the 10th place finisher getting 1 extra point. So leading laps, coming out, winning stages, that's going to be the key this season.
Consistency matters. We've seen that for the last couple of seasons with James Miller. Captain Consistency has been the series champion for the last 2 years in a row because he's been so, and I hate to keep saying the same word over and over again, Rick, but James Miller has been the most consistent driver in this league. He's here week after week, somehow finishes the races, 98% of the time. And of that 98% of the time, probably a good 75% of that time, you find him in the top 5 at the end of the race. Right now, he is just outside of that top 5, running in 7th spot as we get ready to go back under the green. Pace car lights are off, and the cars are heading down the back stretch, getting ready to unleash the horsepower once again.
I mean, obviously, you know, you want to win as many races as you possibly can, Chris, but that's not what it all comes down to. I mean, it's just like real NASCAR back when the Winston Cup was going. You know, you could win a bunch of races and still not come out on top. It's that guy that's always consistently within that top 5 race after race after race. And like you said, Miller, that's how he races. He's very good at hanging on to those fast repairs to the last minute. That way his car's always fresh. He always makes that run for it. And that's what it's going to come down to. So even if Austin doesn't get the win here tonight and pull the checkers out, you know, Grunberg does. If he can stay consistently within that top 2, top 3, that's going to be huge.
Pace car off the track, Rick, and Matt Grunberg in charge of the field. He hits the loud button after waiting for just a moment. Derbyshire spins the rear tires. Derbyshire is really holding up part of the field. That allows Jeffrey Fisher to take over 2nd spot. Adrian Pedra moves into 3rd. Here comes James Miller. Miller just a moment ago was in 4th, and the 78 goes around the 64. Derbyshire gets into a couple of cars. Around they go. They're still under green. The cars that are stopped are off from the racing surface. We stay under green flag conditions. Matt Grunberg still your race leader. And now James Miller finds himself under the line. Nate Stewart, somehow, out of all of that, back in 4th action, is still in 2nd spot. Derek Garrison picking up 3rd. We're still under the green flag. Jeffrey Fisher's fallen to 4th spot. Chris Cervera is running in 5th. He's right behind Fisher now to the inside. Fisher cuts him off. Fisher holding on to 4th. Holy cow. Just go ahead and yeah.
I mean, what do you say about that? I mean, some of these guys, and I don't know if Stewart, because I wasn't on him right as that happened, Chris, because I was kind of watching to see what was going to, if the caution was going to come out. But I don't know if Stewart maybe backed off a little bit, thinking that caution might come out. That's, you know, something that a driver, it's almost instantaneous, you know, here in iRacing. Once that caution comes out, you are locked in wherever that flag was. So, you know, he might have said, okay, well, I'm going to start 2nd, whatever, restart 2nd, whatever. I don't know if he let off just a little bit. But right now, he's still hanging on the 2nd. Like you said, Derek Garrison sitting there in that 11 Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro. He's sitting in 3rd. So right now, Matt Grunberg leading the race. Nate Stewart, Derek Garrison, your top 3. Right now, we have 3 laps left to go.
3 laps left to go. Matt Grunberg is your race leader. Oh, no, the 13 and Nate Stewart gets in the outside wall. Stewart comes back out on track after going down below the white line. Stewart holding on to the 13. That's the first bobble we've seen out of Stewart this race. And Derek Garrison not able to capitalize the gap too much for Garrison to try and take over 2nd with 2 laps to go. Matt Grunberg is your race leader. We've got one trying to blow up out there. Jake McDonald in the 15. You see the smoke coming out of the back. He's holding on for dear life, holding on to a top 10 finish. That would be huge for McDonald. Grunberg, your race leader, is looking back going, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to stay out here and lead these laps. And he crosses the start-finish line. Flagman gives the white flag. 1 more to go right here from Atlanta. And, oh, yeah, Haley, you said it right. Lordy, lordy. I just checked my heartbeat on my watch, and it's up. No doubt about it. Holy cow. Here comes Grunberg going through turns 3 and 4. Matt Grunberg setting up to win at Atlanta. Unbelievable. These last 10 laps have made this whole night worth a trip here in Atlanta. Congratulations goes out to Matt Grunberg and Nate Stewart coming in 1 and 2. And Derek Garrison bringing that turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro home in 3rd spot tonight. Great finish for him. And what a hell of a ride here tonight from Atlanta. I am telling you, I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Well, maybe. I don't know about you, but my heart's pumping, man. That was good.
Oh, like I said, Rick, I literally 2 laps ago, I went down and checked my heartbeat on my watch, and holy hell, it's high. getting all excited, getting ready to go. And man, oh man, what a checkered finish. Congratulations once again to your top 3 finishers. In first place tonight, Matt Grunberg. Second place, Nate Stewart. And in third spot, it's going to be the driver of the number 11 Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro, Derek Garrison. Guys, we're going to take a quick time out. We're going to be right back in just a moment. Wow, wow, wow. And I'll tell you what, guys, that was about as exciting as it gets. The last 5-6 laps. Unbelievable. I am literally here out of breath. Unreal. Rick,
What a great race here tonight.
it was incredible. And what do you say we bring up Derek Garrison, driver of the number 11 Chevy Camaro, Turn 3 Racing Network sponsored. Oh my goodness. Derek Garrison, Chris and Rick up in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Oh, buddy, listen. I love seeing the Turn 3 Racing Network Chevy Camaro coming into the top 3. That means we get a chance to talk to you, and it's been a long time, brother. Congratulations on your third place finish.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, top 5 would be good in points. I had a rough week last week at Daytona, so this would be a good turnaround and get some momentum throughout the season. Hopefully, we make a championship run this year. So, yeah, I'm tickled to death. Third place finish. I didn't look too promising there 5-6 laps ago.
Well, you definitely pulled it out in the end, and it didn't hurt that we had a couple of heart-stopping moments. Not heart-stopping, because man, my heartbeat is racing still. But there was a couple of moments there where even mine was puckered, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, man. I didn't think I'd make it across the start-finish line there in the last lap. Everything was pegged out with the oil and water, so it's them Chevrolet motors that's what gets it done. So thank you to Chevrolet, and thank you to Turn 3 Racing Network and Relentless Racing. Man, it's just having a ball.
Yeah, well, you took the thunder right out of me. My next question was, who do you have to thank? So I know Relentless, I know us, and anybody else out there, Derek, you want to thank, bud?
Thank you for all the viewers watching it on YouTube. Without y'all, man, it wouldn't be entertaining. So thank you to the viewers, and thank you for all the competitors showing out tonight. And had a lot of fun. This track was really fun after like 5-10 laps. Really slick out there, so it really brought out the true skill of people. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun to watch, Derek. Congratulations once again, man. Third place finish here in Atlanta. Derek Garrison, driver of the number 11. And Rick, that was Derek Garrison, and you can hear it in his voice, man. He is a little surprised and very, very happy at his race finish. Let's bring up Nate Stewart. Rick, I believe you caught up with him.
Yeah, Nate Stewart, you got Rick and Chris up in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Number 1, when you get up into the top 3, you got to stay on the track in your car so we can show it off a little bit, brother. But that's okay, man.
My bad.
It's okay. Congratulations on coming in second, man. You had one stage 2, you came out, you were close. I mean, you and Grunberg were putting on one heck of a show out there, racing together there. It was the Battle of Supras, and you guys put on a really good showing. So congratulations on coming in second. I know you were hoping to come in first, but hey, you take that next spot, man. How was your race a little bit?
I mean, started on pole somehow. I don't know how, but led early, then got stuck back because I slid through the pits on the first stop and just tried to claw my way back to the front. Got there eventually. Then I had an absolute blast racing with Matt. that's probably the most fun I've had on iRacing in a while. That's the first time I've ever been loose in the Xfinity car, and I don't know, just going side by side and battling that hard was an absolute blast. And on that last restart, the top three took two. I was the first car on 4 tires, and the two ahead of me, well, Austin spun the tires really bad, so I rear-ended him because I had nowhere to go. And yeah, I feel like I could have gotten to Matt and, might have given him a bumper if it would have happened, but I just killed the wall with like 3 to go, like Kyle Busch did at Darlington, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Well, yeah, that was one thing that I noticed too on that restart there. Austin, really spun his tires, and it really held you up there. And like you said, you got into the back of him. I know it wasn't your fault. You definitely had no place to go, but I think that definitely hurt your chances there to really catch up to Matt. But hey, listen, man, you took second. Congratulations on that. Is there anybody on that number 13 you need to thank?
Yeah. I haven't gotten my custom car just made for the Super yet since it just came out, but I want to thank all the boys back at the shop for Suicide Shift Esports, Light Technology Gaming PCs. Go check them out if you're looking for a pre-built PC that are really good for a really good price. Setups for iRacing, the U.S. Air Force, Mountain Dew, Exalta, and everyone else that helps put this car together. Thanks to the admins for putting on the league. I had a blast tonight. I want to thank Matt for the good, hard, clean racing. And lastly, I want to thank you guys at Turn 3 for broadcasting this series.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you and congratulations once again. Bring that momentum next week to Las Vegas, and we'll see you there.
All right, guys. Thanks.
You're welcome. Take care, bud.
And that was the driver of the number 13, Nate Stewart, and that leaves us with just one more driver to talk to. I caught up with him. It is Matt Grunberg, driver of the number 54. Matt, this is Chris and Rick up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yep.
Matt, man, I'll tell you.
Hold on. Can't just come in and go, yep. Yeah. You got to be excited, bro. You just want to race. Again, I know. What I love about you, man. You're just like, yep.
Well, it's definitely not his first one. Probably won't be his last one, Rick. And we've got Matt Grunberg up here. We call him Captain Stage or Mr. Stage. He's got about 1,000 nicknames, but they all end in stage. And tonight we're going to add one more for the season. It's race winner, Matt Grunberg. Matt, what a hell of a ride for you tonight in that 54.
Yeah, it really was. We always are pretty fast here in Atlanta. I think we ended up winning the Atlanta race last year in this series, so it was good to go back to back, I guess, series. The car felt really good on the bottom there. Just was hooking that bottom all race, just making up a ton of time on everyone else, and just mostly saving the tires from hooking that bottom. So, but yeah, all in all, it was a really fun race. And then taking 2 tires there at the end, that was really tough to handle. But we were able to hang on, and there was just enough laps to where Nate couldn't catch us. So, and then I guess whatever happened during the restart, I'm sure that was fun to catch on the broadcast. But it all ended up working out in our favor, and I was just glad to get the win.
Well, the restart was, I'll tell you what, watch it. You'll see. It was wild, and you guys got my heart beating once again. Almost, I don't know. You guys always kill me for some reason. Last year, you were making my voice go out. This year, you're making my heart thump hard. I don't know. I give up. But listen, it was a great race. You're going to come out of this one as the points leader. You won another stage. So that's 2 races in a row where you won a stage. You had a good shot at that stage number 2. You just couldn't kind of make up the time on Nate. But you guys had a hell of a battle that last few laps there, and really throughout the whole race.
Yeah, I hope that was entertaining to watch. I think we ran side by side there for about more than 5 laps there. One of the stints we had, and hopefully that was entertaining for everyone to watch. And before I go, I want to thank Haley Fisher back at the shop just for supporting us and everything that we do on iRacing.
Well, about that, you kind of stole. You guys are stealing my thunder tonight, because that is the next question.
The stage wins, the race wins. Yep.
Anybody else besides Haley that you need to thank on the 54?
No, just Haley. She provides a ton of support for us. So,
No, that's awesome, bud. That's awesome. Hey, listen, man, congratulations once again. That was a solid victory you had. You led 60 laps tonight, by far the most of anybody. So congratulations. Get down there, celebrate, and enjoy the victory. We'll see you next week in Las Vegas.
yep. Thank you.
And that was the driver of the number 54, Matt Gruenberg, getting it done here tonight in hot Atlanta, Rick. And it was a hell of a good night, man. I had a blast tonight. That was exactly what I needed after a long week at work.
Well, in the famous words of Matt Grunberg, yep.
And in the famous last words here in Turn 3 Racing Network, I want to thank everybody who took time out of their Friday night to come spend a couple hours with us here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. We watched the Relentless Racing Series, Xfinity Cars. Matt Gruenberg comes home with the win. And guys, I thank you once again. What a wild ride. It was a lot of fun. Have yourselves a good night.
And a good weekend. Take care, all.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Friday night. It's the Relentless Racing Series coming at you